When you think of meal prep, you may not think of sandwiches. In fact, meal prep sandwiches may have you thinking of soggy bread, limp fillings, and overall not the best experience. But it doesn't have to be like that. Let me show you some simple tips and tricks to level up your sandwich prep so that you can easily make these grab-and-go meals that'll save you time in the kitchen and are perfect for summer. First, let me show you exactly how a sandwich meal prep is gonna save you time. Imagine you come into your kitchen ready for lunch and decide on an easy sandwich. So what are we gonna need? Some bread, some condiments, a filling, and I personally like as many different toppings as I can fit in there. And suddenly you've taken out half your fridge already just for one sandwich. So we're actually going to start today's prep by making some sandwich boxes, and that way when it comes time to put your sandwich together, it will just be that much faster and easier. With avocados, they will turn brown after a couple days, so I do just like to leave the pit inside. That'll help keep them fresher longer. And of course, just fill these boxes with whatever sandwich toppings you like. And then of course, you don't have to use separate boxes. You can just put everything into one large Tupperware if you prefer. You can also add any other fillings like vegan cheese or vegan deli meat if you wanted right into this box. So now when you're ready to make a sandwich, you just grab that box and then maybe 1 or 2 extra condiments like hummus or mustard, and you're ready to go. So now let's talk actually making the sandwich. Of course, ideally, you would want to put your sandwich together as close to the time that you're going to be eating it as possible. But I know that doesn't always happen, so let me share some tips and tricks to reduce sogginess in your bread if you have to prep your sandwich the night before. So first of all, using a sturdier bread, especially something like a baguette, is gonna give you the best results. But even if you're using something like a regular sandwich loaf, I have found that toasting the bread beforehand can actually help reduce some of the sogginess. So even if you're prepping your sandwiches the night before, go ahead and toast your bread, let it cool down, and then add your toppings and your fillings and your condiments. If you've tried the toasting technique and you're still getting soggy sandwiches, another way to do it is to add the wetter ingredients as close to the middle of the sandwich as possible. So I would put your hummus, your roasted red pepper, your pickles, your tomatoes, all as close to the center of the sandwich as possible, and put the drier things on the outside like lettuce and sprouts, and those can kind of create a barrier between the bread and the wet fillings. So another option is to assemble your sandwich right before you eat it. You could take your bread separately and then of course this whole filling box with you, and then literally assemble it right before you eat it. But I know that's not always convenient. So now with these tips and tricks in mind, let's prep some easy sandwiches, wraps, and rolls. Let's start with a breakfast sandwich. This is actually the tortilla wrap hack that was super popular last year. I am bringing it back because it is really convenient for a grab-and-go breakfast. Now I know Just Egg is a pricier item, so if you wanted a budget option, you can definitely swap this out for something like sliced tofu, or even those mung bean patties that I did in a previous video. I will link that down below if you want to check them out. So I'm using these ancient grain wraps from Costco, and then just a bit of vegan cheese, vegan egg, a little bit of hot sauce and sliced potato, tomato, onion, avocado, and a little bit of everything but the bagel seasoning. And then I do like to crisp this up in a pan. It kind of has the same effect as toasting bread does. Now the PB&J is of course a classic, but I feel like it's overlooked a lot. I mean, it's a sandwich that everybody loves, and it's of course vegan friendly, and it can be eaten for both breakfast or lunch. So if you wanted to make this a little bit healthier, you could swap out the store-bought jam for a homemade chia jam. With strawberries in season right now, it might be really fun to make your own at home. It's super easy. I actually have a video for it, which I will link down below. And you can even jazz up these PB&Js even further by adding something like a sliced banana in there. Now sushi is another great option for grab-and-go meals. You'll often see it at like grocery stores for a really easy takeaway lunch, but those can sometimes be like $6 or $7 for just an avocado roll or a cucumber roll. So making your own at home is definitely gonna be cheaper, and it's honestly really easy. I just had this leftover rice in the fridge already from a batch prep. I just like to microwave it for about a minute. It does help it spread more easily. And then I'm also just adding a little bit of rice vinegar and soy sauce directly into the rice for flavor. Now you could of course keep your wasabi and ginger on the side in a tiny little Tupperware, but I usually like to add it directly into the roll, and that way you don't need to do any dipping while you're out and about. You can just grab the whole roll and eat it. And with fillings, again, just choose whatever you like. Sometimes I like all veggie. You can even add some cooked sweet potato in there. You can do a vegan egg or some tofu if you like. So many options. Now my tip for sushi is not to cut them into little tiny pieces. I know they're cute and they are a little more presentable that way, but honestly, they're so much easier to eat if you just cut it in half, and they're much less likely to fall apart. Now lunch wraps I feel are super versatile. You can basically use any kind of fillings you like. What I actually like to do is if I have any leftover salad in the fridge, I'll basically just add all of that into a wrap. Instead of bringing cutlery with you on the go, you just put everything into the wrap and you can eat it with your hands. Now if you have time, you could do some homemade lentil wraps here. Of course, the store-bought is always gonna be easier and more convenient, but if you wanted a healthier option, you could definitely do those red lentil wraps. They're really easy to make and a good way to add some extra legumes into your diet. For this wrap, I'm just using these tortillas that I also got from Costco with a little bit of hummus, pickle, roasted red pepper, tomato, onion, cucumber, seitan, lettuce, and sprouts. And my tip for this wrap is not to overfill it, even though as you can see, I did overfill mine a bit, but the less full it is, the easier it will be to wrap. And then I find it helps seal the edge if you just cook it in the pan for a couple minutes. And I have actually been meal prepping these tangerines. I just find it's easier to have the peel already removed, and it works perfectly in these lunch boxes. Now the parchment paper is going to help you if your wrap is a little bit too full. It'll just help hold everything together. And lastly, we're gonna make a no tuna chickpea sandwich. This is one of my favorite sandwich fillings. What I actually like to do is to make a large batch of the filling, and then I have this sandwich ready to go for the next few days. Now, like I mentioned earlier, if you wanted to use a sturdier bread like a baguette, that will probably help reduce some bread sogginess, but we're just gonna keep it easy here and use the toaster method. Now, like I said earlier, if you do want to reduce the sogginess of your bread, you could keep the mustard and this no tuna chickpea filling more towards the inside of your sandwich. And again, we're just going to wrap this in parchment paper to hold everything nice and tightly together. And then just adding a bit of our pre-prepped watermelon, some trail mix, and our prepped celery. So now we have sandwiches, wraps, and rolls ready to go. You can take them anywhere. You can take them to the beach, on a hike, to a picnic in the park. These are perfect for summer, and I hope you can see now that sandwiches can be perfect for meal prep as well. So if you did enjoy this video, let me know in a comment down below. And with that, let's eat plants, and I'll see you guys next time.